The next topic we are going to start is the Fabry-Perot interferometer. In the last lecture we had covered Michelson interferometer. So the principle of Fabry-Perot interferometer that it is based on multiple reflections. Now the interference pattern which is observed in Fabry-Perot interferometer, it is caused due to the multiple reflections. Now this multiple reflection, this term we had seen in case of thin films. When we started the topic of thin films, there we saw that one incident ray, when it falls on a thin film, so inside that film there are multiple reflections. So same concept is used in Fabry-Perot interferometer, and hence this experiment it comes under the division of amplitude. So what is the construction of this interferometer? First of all, we will have an extended source. Now an extended source is used because as we have seen that in case of division of amplitude or in case of thin films, an extended source is preferred over a point source. So here also we will use an extended source, and there are two glass plates which are shown with the blue color. So there are two glass plates, and these plates they can be either made up of glass or they can be made up of quartz, and the inner side of these glass plates it is coated with a metal, and that metal it can be of aluminium or silver. So the inner side of these glass plates it is very thinly coated with aluminium or silver, so that they have a reflectivity of about 80%. So there is about 80% reflectivity, means any ray which is falling on this metallic film, 80% will be reflected and rest 20% will be transmitted. So this is what we mean by 80% reflectivity. So these thin metallic films of aluminium and silver, they will cause partial reflection and transmission. Now these two plates they are coated in such a way that they enclose a plain parallel slab of air between their coated surface. So these are the coated surface, and between these coated surface, the region between these coated surface it is filled with air. So there will be air, means there will be a film of air. So in the case of thin films, we saw in the case of Newton ring, the thin film was made up of air, and in the case of Michelson interferometer also, the thin film it was composed of air. So in this case also, Fabry-Perot interferometer, the region between these metallic coatings of aluminium or silver, the region between these metallic coatings it is filled with air. And these are the parallel glass plates. These glass or quartz plates they are held parallel to each other. Now if the reflecting glass plates they are held parallel to each other at a fixed separation. So when these glass plates they are held parallel to each other and their separation is fixed, then that type of construction it is called as Fabry-Perot etalon. In fact, we may neglect the presence of the plates and consider only the reflection by the metallic film. Now what happens is that any point on this extended source, let's say it emits light which is making an angle of theta with the horizontal line. So this is an incident beam, and when it gets transmitted and it falls at this point of the metallic film of aluminium or silver, so there will be partial reflection, 80% will get reflected and 20% will be transmitted. So at this point there will be partial reflection and partial transmission. Now this transmitted ray it will be parallel to the incident ray. So this transmitted ray it will make an angle of theta with the horizontal axis. Similarly, this reflected ray it will reach this point on the first glass plate and it will get reflected, as well as there will be transmission in this direction. So there will be transmitted rays on the left hand side, but these are not shown over here. So only the transmitted rays on the right hand side they are shown, and interference pattern is observed using only these transmitted rays. So this reflected ray, it again gets reflected, so there will be partial and partial transmission. So again this reflected ray, it will reach this point, so at this point there will be reflection as well as transmission, so we will get the second transmitted ray. So similarly there will be multiple reflections and we will get multiple transmitted rays which will be parallel to each other, and these all rays, they will make up an angle of theta with the horizontal axis. So these transmitted rays which are parallel to each other, they are made to converge at a single point on the screen with the help of a lens. So when they converge, they will make up a fringe on the screen, and the type of the fringe, that is the bright or the dark fringe, that will be decided by the path difference between these rays. So these parallel rays, they are making an angle of theta, and hence they will converge at a single point on the screen and they will make up a fringe. Similarly, all the parallel rays, all the rays, incident rays which come from this extended source, from any point of this source, but they are all making an angle of theta with the horizontal axis. So all the rays, all the incident rays from this extended source which are making theta angle with the horizontal axis, so all these rays, they will get converge on a particular fringe. So they all will make up a one fringe, means the fringes which are observed in Fabry-Perot interferometer, these are the fringes of equal inclination, and these are also called as Hedinger fringes. So we may neglect the presence of the glass plates or the quartz plates and consider only the reflection and transmission by the metallic film. So actually the process of reflection and transmission, it is done by the metallic film of aluminium or silver which is coated on the inner side of the glass plates. So there is no function of this glass plate. The function is only of the coating which is done on the glass plate. So the metallic coating which is done on the inner side of the glass plates, the reflection and transmission, it occurs only from that coating. So we may neglect the presence of the glass plate and consider only the reflection and transmission by the metallic film. Now we will see how the intensity it is distributed in Fabry-Perot fringes. So the same concept it was done in the case of Young's double slit experiment. We had done the distribution of intensity or the variation of intensity on the screen. So we will see how the intensity of the fringes, it varies in case of the Fabry-Perot interferometer. So here I have shown the first glass plate which is written by GP1 and the second glass plate which is GP2. So these are the metallic coatings which are done on the inner side of the glass plates. So there is an incident ray which comes from the extended source, and this incident ray, it gets reflected at this point as well as it will get partially transmitted. So there will be multiple reflections and there will be transmission for every reflected ray. And on the left hand side also, here we have shown the transmitted rays, but only the transmitted rays which are on the right hand side, they are made to converge and they fall on the screen. So only these transmitted rays which are on the right hand side, they are important to us. So the incident ray, the ray which is incident on the first metallic film or the first glass plate, its amplitude is small a. So let's say the amplitude of this incident ray, it is small a. So when it gets transmitted from this metallic film, when it gets transmitted, the amplitude will get decreased. So obviously at every reflection and transmission, the amplitude, it reduces, and the amplitude reduces by how much amount? It reduces by the coefficient of reflection and transmission. So in the article of phase change on reflection, there we saw the two parameters. First was the amplitude reflection coefficient and amplitude transmission coefficient. So there we represented them by R1 and T1. So here also, when the incident ray it gets transmitted, the amplitude will get reduced. So the resultant amplitude or the amplitude of this first transmitted ray, it will be equal to A times T, where T is the amplitude transmission coefficient. Now this ray which was transmitted, so this is the incident ray and it has the maximum amplitude, but when it gets transmitted, its amplitude will reduce, and its amplitude will reduce by this coefficient, which is the amplitude transmission coefficient. So at this point, this ray it will again get transmitted and it will get reflected. So this transmitted ray it will have another transmission coefficient, and that will be T prime. So this will be the incident ray. Now this will be the incident ray, and this amplitude AT it will be getting divided into reflected ray as well as transmitted ray. So the reflected ray it will have amplitude of A into T, it will remain as it is, times the reflection amplitude coefficient, that is times R. So this will be the amplitude of the first reflected ray, and the amplitude of the first transmitted ray it will be equal to A into T times T prime. So T prime it is the amplitude transmission coefficient when the ray it is getting transmitted in the third region. So in the second region, the transmission coefficient is given by T and reflection coefficient is given by R. So the second reflected ray, now it will again get reflected. So this reflected ray, it will have amplitude of ATR times R. So this third reflected ray, this reflected ray, it will have amplitude of ATR times R because it is getting reflected. So ATR times R means R square. So this incident ray again it will get transmitted and it will get reflected. So this transmitted ray it will have amplitude of ATR square times T prime because it is the transmitted ray. So ATR square times T prime means AT prime times R square, and the reflected ray it will have amplitude of ATR square into R, which will be ATR cube. Similarly, we will have the amplitude of this reflected ray it will be equal to ATR cube into R, which will be ATR4, and this reflected ray it will get transmitted, and what will be the amplitude? It will be ATR power 4 into T prime. So that will be ATT prime, that will be ATT prime times R power 4. So similarly you will get the amplitude of all the transmitted rays as well as of all the reflected rays. So first of all, what is the advantage of Fabry-Perot interferometer? So advantage is that it gives the fringes which are very sharp, because we will get a single fringe by the superposition of multiple number of transmitted rays, and hence that fringe will be very sharp. So this Fabry-Perot interferometer it gives fringes which are very sharp, and such interferometers there which are based on multiple beam interference, they have a high resolving power. So we will see what is the resolving power. So just remember that Fabry-Perot interferometer it gives us very sharp fringes, and hence these types of interferometers they have very high resolving power. Now these are the transmitted rays and we have the reflected rays. So this is the same concept as we had done in thin films. So there we saw that the transmitted rays they also have a path difference. The two transmitted rays they have a path difference, and we had calculated what is the path difference between the first two transmitted rays. So here also the concept will be same. This is the first transmitted ray, this is the second transmitted ray. So what will be the path difference between these two transmitted rays or these two successive transmitted rays and these two transmitted rays? So there we had done the derivation of finding the path difference between the first two transmitted rays as well as first two reflected rays. Here we are considering only the transmitted rays, so we will use the formula of the path difference of first two transmitted rays. So in that case it came out to be equal to 2 mu t cos r. In the article of thin films, the path difference came out to be equal to 2 mu t cos r. Now what is mu? Mu, it is the refractive index of the medium which is present between these two plates. But here we have considered, in case of Fabry Perot interferometer, the medium inside the plates, it is nothing but air. So mu will be equal to 1, and t, it is the thickness of the film. So over here let's say d is the distance between GP1 and GP2. So t will be equal to d in that case. And here we have cos of r, so cos of angle. So in this, the incident ray, it is having an angle of, it is falling at an incident angle of theta. So let's say it is falling at an angle of theta. So this transmitted ray, so this will be the transmitted ray, because there is a plate over here, and the incident ray, it will get refracted and then it will get transmitted in this film of air. So this transmitted ray and this incident ray, they will be parallel to each other. So these both, they will have same angle with the normal. So if the incident ray, it is making an angle of theta, so this second ray, which is the transmitted ray, so this will also be making an angle of theta with the normal. So over here cos of r, with r over here, it is the angle which is made by this ray with the normal, so that is nothing but theta. But in the case of thin film article, there r was not equal to the angle of incidence, because there was refraction. But over here the refraction, it occurs in the glass plate, which is the very thin glass plate. The refraction occurs and then there occurs the transmission. So this ray, it will be nothing but parallel to the incident ray. So the angle r in this case will be nothing but theta. So the path difference between these first two between these two transmitted rays and these two transmitted rays, then these two transmitted rays, it will be 2d cos theta, where mu will be equal to 1 and t will be equal to d. So the path difference between successive transmitted beams, it will be equal to 2d cos theta. So path difference times 2 pi by lambda, it gives us the phase difference. So phase difference between the first two transmitted rays or second and third transmitted ray and so on, that will be equal to 2 pi by lambda into 2d cos theta. So on simplifying this, you will get 4 pi d cos theta divided by lambda. So this is the phase difference. Now what is the equation of this transmitted light? Because we want to find intensity, and intensity, it is equal to the square of the amplitude. So intensity, it is nothing but square of amplitude. So first of all, we will write what is the equation of this first transmitted ray. So equation of this transmitted ray will be equal to amplitude times cos of omega t minus theta. So the equation, it is written by amplitude times cos of omega t minus theta, where theta, it is the phase. Over here, what will be the amplitude? So in the article of phase change on reflection, there we saw that T1 into T2, it was equal to 1 minus r square. So in that article we got Stokes equations. So in that case, T into T prime, it came out to be equal to 1 minus r square. And what is this coefficient related to the transmittivity? So transmittivity is given by capital T and it is equal to square root of the transmission coefficient. Similarly, reflectivity, it is equal to square root of the reflection coefficient. So in this case, we have T into T prime, so that will be equal to capital T. t. So t into t prime, it will be equal to capital T, and amplitude will be equal to A into capital T. Then the amplitude of the second ray will be equal to A into capital T into r square. So r square will be nothing but capital R. Then the amplitude of third ray will be equal to A into capital T into t prime is equal to capital T, times r power 4. So r power 4 will be equal to r square, and so on. So we will get the amplitudes of every transmitted ray. So the equation of first wave, it will be equal to amplitude, which is A into capital T, times e power iota omega t. So this is nothing but the cos of omega t minus theta. So this is another form how we can write the displacement of a wave. So this you must have done in vibration and waves, that we can write the displacement as A into cos of omega t minus theta, and we can also write it as A into e power iota omega t minus theta. So these are the two notations that we can use to define the displacement. So you can either use cosine or sine function, or you can use e power iota omega t minus theta. So similarly over here we will use e power iota omega t, where initial phase it is considered to be equal to 0. So theta is considered to be equal to 0. Now this will be the equation of the first transmitted ray. Now the equation of the second transmitted ray will be equal to amplitude times e power iota omega t, then the phase difference. So the amplitude is ATR and e power iota omega t, then we will have minus delta. Now what is this delta? It is the phase difference. So first ray, it has a phase of 0. Second transmitted ray, it will differ from the first transmitted ray. The phase of the second transmitted ray, it will differ from that of first transmitted ray by delta. So this is nothing but we had done in the article of thin films, that the first two transmitted rays, they will have a path difference of 2d cos theta, and they will have a phase difference of 2 pi by lambda into 2d cos theta. So this is nothing but delta. So second transmitted ray, it will differ, the phase of this ray, it will differ from that of first by delta, and the phase of third ray, it will differ from that of second ray by delta. So every two consecutive rays, they will differ, the phase of every two consecutive transmitted rays, they will differ by delta. So here we are writing the equation with respect to the first transmitted ray. So first transmitted ray, it had no phase. Second transmitted ray, it had a phase difference of delta. So third transmitted ray, it will have a phase difference of twice of delta. So what will be equation of the third transmitted ray? Its amplitude is ATR square times e power iota omega t as it is minus 2 delta. Similarly, the fourth transmitted ray, it will have amplitude of ATR cube into e power iota omega t minus 3 delta. So this delta we are talking about in reference to the first transmitted ray. So first transmitted ray, it does not have any phase. Second, it will have a phase of delta. The difference of the phase will be by delta. Then second transmitted ray, it will have a difference of phase by 2 delta with respect to the first transmitted ray. So therefore we have written 2 delta over here. So what will be the net displacement? So what we are doing, we will superimpose all these parallel beams with the help of a convex lens. We will make these parallel beams to converge and fall on the screen. So what will be the intensity? To find the intensity, we need to find the net displacement. So net displacement or the superposition will be equal to y1 plus y2 plus y3 up to so on. So how many number of transmitted rays will be there? So you have to do summation over all those transmitted rays. So first transmitted ray, it will be AT e power iota omega t. Second will be ATR into e power iota omega t minus delta. Third will be ATR square e power iota omega t minus 2 delta. And you will take this particular term common, because this is common in all the terms. So when you will take this term common out of all the terms, you will get 1 plus r into e power minus iota delta plus r square into e power minus 2 iota delta. Then you will get plus r cube into e power minus 3 iota delta, and so on. So these terms in the square bracket, these are nothing but geometric progression, and summation of this geometric progression, it is given by 1 over 1. It is nothing but the first term. So first term over 1 minus the ratio. So what is the ratio of the consecutive terms? It is r into e power minus iota delta. So this will be the summation of the geometric progression. So this term, it will remain as it is. So this is nothing but the resultant amplitude of all these transmitted rays. So the resultant amplitude, it will be equal to at e power iota omega t over 1 minus r into e power minus iota delta. Now we will take the complex conjugate of this displacement, which is y star, and that will be equal to. So why we are taking complex conjugate? Because we need to find the intensity, and intensity is equal to y into y star, that is the variable into its complex conjugate, that gives us the intensity. So therefore we need to find complex conjugate y star, and to find the complex conjugate we inverse the sign of iota. So wherever there is plus iota, we write it minus iota, and wherever there is minus iota, we will write plus iota. So y star from this equation will be equal to a into t e power, now it will be minus iota omega t divided by 1 minus r into e power plus iota delta. Now the resultant intensity will be equal to y into y star. So that will be equal to at into, so that will be at e power iota omega t over 1 minus r into e power minus iota delta times at e power minus iota omega t divided by 1 minus r into e power plus iota delta. So when you will multiply these terms, e power iota omega t and e power minus omega t, iota omega t, that will be equal to 1. So resultant intensity will be equal to a square t square divided by 1 minus r into e power minus iota delta into 1 minus r into e power plus iota delta. So you can evaluate this equation, it will be equal to. So when you will evaluate this equation, so a minus b into a minus b, that will be equal to 1 into 1, that will be 1. Then you will get minus r into e power plus iota delta. Then you will get minus r into e power minus iota delta. Then you will get plus r square. So plus r square you will get into e power minus iota delta into e power plus iota delta. So you will simply get this equation. So now what you will do is you will put the expression of e power iota theta. So e power iota theta is equal to cos of theta plus iota sine theta. So we will put the expression of e power iota delta and e power minus iota delta. So net intensity will be equal to a square over t square over 1 minus r of cos of delta plus iota sine delta, then minus r of cos of delta minus iota sine delta plus r square. So when you will open the bracket, you will get minus iota r sine delta, and you will get over here plus iota r sine delta. So this term it will cancel with this term, and you will be left with a square t square over 1 plus r square, 1 plus r square minus 2r cos delta. So now you will put the expression of cos of delta. Now sine square theta, it is equal to 1 minus cos 2 theta divided by 2. So this is the formula for sine square theta. So sine square theta by 2 Sin square theta by 2 will be equal to 1 minus cos theta divided by 2. So wherever there is theta, you will put theta by 2. So here you will get theta by 2 and here you will get simply theta. So from here, when you will evaluate cos of theta, so what will be cos of theta? It will be equal to 1 minus 2 sin square theta by 2. So this is the expression of cos of theta. So now you will put the expression of cos of delta. So it will be equal to a square t square over 1 plus r square minus, you have over here 2r, so 2r as it is, into cos of delta. So what will be cos of delta? It will be 1 minus 2 sin square delta divided by 2. So this will be the intensity. So we are evaluating the expression of intensity. So it will be equal to a square into t square over, now let's open the brackets. So you will get 1 plus r square minus 2r plus 4r sin square delta by 2. So this is the equation that you will get. So this term, it is equal to 1 minus r whole square. So this term is equal to 1 minus r whole square plus 4r sin square delta by 2. So now you will take 1 minus r whole square common in the denominator. So you will get 1 minus r whole square times 1 plus 4r divided by 1 minus r whole square sin square delta by 2. So now this is the net intensity on the screen. So intensity, we can see clearly that it depends upon the phase. So this is the phase difference. So intensity on the screen, it will depend upon the phase difference. Now this was the formula of intensity that we had got, and intensity depends upon the phase difference. So let's see what will be the maximum and minimum value of intensity on the screen. So maximum intensity, it will correspond to bright fringe, and minimum intensity, it will correspond to dark fringe. So for maximum intensity, I max. So what is the variable over here? Capital T will be constant, capital R will be constant. So what will be the variable? It will be delta. So delta, it depends upon theta. So delta, it will depend upon theta, because as we had seen, delta, it is equal to 2 pi by lambda into 2d cos theta. So if lambda is fixed, d is fixed, and due to the variation in theta, because light from the extended source, it is not falling at a particular angle. So it is falling at all angles. So the light from the extended source, it is not falling at only one angle, it is falling at large number of angles. So there will be different values of theta, and corresponding to different values of theta, there will be different values of delta. So what will be the maximum intensity on the screen? So for maximum intensity, this term, or you can say this term, it should be equal to 0. So R, its value, it can never be negative, and it is less than 1. So the value of capital R, it can never be negative, but it is less than 1. And here we have sin square delta by 2. So its value can also never be negative. So this term in the denominator, 4r by 1 minus r whole square times sin square delta by 2, this whole term, it should be equal to 0 for the maximum value of intensity. So for maximum value, denominator should be minimum, and for minimum denominator, this term, it should vanish. So means for I max, maximum intensity, sin square delta by 2, it should be equal to 0. And I max will be equal to, in that case, a square t square divided by 1 minus r whole square. So this will be the maximum intensity of the light on the screen. And similarly, we can calculate I minimum. Now sin square delta by 2, it can have maximum value of 1. So sin theta, it varies from -1 to +1. Here we have sine square theta. So the sine square theta, it will vary from 0 to 1. So maximum value of sine square delta by 2, it can be equal to 1. So for minimum intensity, denominator should be maximum. So for maximum denominator, this term, it should be maximum, means sine square delta by 2, it should be equal to 1. So in that case, I minimum will be equal to a square t square over 1 minus r whole square times 1 plus 4r divided by 1 minus r whole square. So this will be the minimum intensity. So on solving this, we will get a square t square over 1 minus r whole square, and when you will solve it, the denominator, when you will simplify it, you will get 1 minus r whole square plus 4r divided by 1 minus r whole square. So this will be equal to a square t square over, you will get 1 minus r whole square plus 4r. And when you will evaluate this denominator, you will get a square t square over 1 plus r whole square. So this will be the minimum intensity, and here we have maximum intensity. So what will be the ratio of maximum intensity over minimum intensity? It will be equal to 1 plus r over 1 minus r whole square. So using this formula, when you will find the ratio of I max and I minimum, you will get 1 plus r over 1 minus r whole square.